Actually, Indonesian literacy, yeah, literacy means the interest to read, yeah, minat baca, has been rated number 60 in the 61 countries that was surveyed. So we have a very low interest to read, minat baca, and that's not a good thing for publishing, because in my view, before we have to write anything, I think we should read something first. So that's why in the Islamic tradition we have Iqra. So Iqra, read first, then we have to write. Because if we don't read, how can we write? And it's not something that common among general populations, but also among academics too. So we are struggling in finding relevance of the chapter, of the paper. So normally, what we editor or reviewer read from an article is actually not how sophisticated the methodology is, but the first few pages. The first few pages of the articles, from page 1 to page 2 or 3. Why? Because that's where you set the scene. That's where you open the gate of whether or not your article or topic is relevant.
Some of the best researchers, they read a lot. They read the newspaper, they read the Economist magazine, they read fiction books as well. And then they have good knowledge of the world and also the creative thinking. So if you go to the house of some professors, you see many books, and not just economics books, but sometimes Harry Potter and other books like this, because researchers often are quite curious and read a lot, and reading is really useful for coming up with good questions and for writing and creating interesting projects.
Some of us forget that writing an article in a journal is actually the end of long process of research. So people sometimes still think that writing a paper is just writing a paper, independent activities to other previous activities. However, writing an article in a journal, actually, if you are doing a marathon, it's like the last 100 meters, yeah, before the finishing line, yeah, of a 10 kilometer marathon. Yeah. So from the 0 kilometer to that last 100 meter is actually the research itself. Good research has to be done before writing. We cannot write anything without doing the research. And to be able to do research, of course, we have to have good resources, good teamwork, not to mention the good research funding. Yeah.
Okay, so the question was how to do literature review. This is a real art, doing a good one. We should try to avoid doing this style. One style is having the big paragraphs and it's listing what different authors have done. Smith did this, Yusuf did this, all these different long ones just reporting what others did. This is not the way to do literature review. Those other people, they have already written their papers. We don't need to repeat the information about their studies. So literature review, it should be really strongly related to our own study, explaining the theory that's relevant for the study, and also, for example, if we are doing an empirical paper, after we present our results, we should relate our results to previous results. Explain, my finding of the elasticity was 0.2, and explain why it was different to your elasticity from 3 years ago. Explain and discussion. In other words, the literature review should be very closely linked to your own work. It should cite the key papers previously published, but it should not be the very long summary of every paper that's been published. Ideas should be the writing should be organized around ideas rather than this author and then this author and then this author. That's my suggestion for literature review.
Sometimes if you're lucky, you can try to find a journal, special journal that is specially publishing survey literatures. For example, Journal of Economic Literatures, Journal of Economic Perspective, or Journal of Economic Survey, I'm sure there are other field of social science, there are something like that too. So if you find your research question has been addressed by one of the paper published there, then you're lucky. So you don't need, you have a very good opening of the current existing situations in the literature by reading someone else's literature reviews, right? So if you can find that, you just start with that. And then, but if you're lucky, yeah? So go to your docent or something.
And discuss your research with other people. Normally, if we discuss our research with one of our parents, or one uncle, or one auntie, normally they can help us actually. We say our question is this one, and they may be not an economist, but they are sensible and smart. And they say, oh, why ask this question? Why not something a bit different? Don't we know this already? So I fully agree, attend the seminars, because then we can see...
What about discussing with our partner?
And discussing with partner, of course. Yeah.
Wife?
Of course, of course. Discuss with anyone who will listen to you and who will be interested. Try not to discuss the people on the street. With the people on the street, maybe they'll get annoyed with you. But with others, then go for it.
Okay.
Sometimes some good research is just exploring some things we don't know, but it's not obviously a problem. For example, sometimes we just want to understand more about the world, right? Scientists want to do this. Scientists study the plants and animals. It's not the problem. It's just a thing, but we can gain a lot of information from it, and maybe the information can be useful in some applications to solve problems. As a simple example, we can study in the forest, we can study some animal or plant, and maybe from it we can get the cure for cancer for humans, right? So I think the answer is no.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to always be studying a problem. In economics, it's true as well. We don't always have to be studying the problem. Often, but not always. For example, maybe we are interested in doing the impact evaluation of a policy, right? If we give cash to this community, what is the impact? Is it investigating a problem? Not exactly investigating a problem, but we're just learning more about how the world is working, the impact of this on that. So I think that in social science studies, normally we need to be answering a question which is about causal things, effect of X on Y, or some relationship between X and Y. But it seems to me it doesn't always have to be a problem.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I may add that borrow from literature of non-social science. Yeah? So problem can be a good basis for writing an article, journal, but also other than that is curiosity. Curiosity, not necessarily problems. So why do we spend billions of dollars to send a robot to Mars? Is it really urgent to send robot to Mars to do research and will be publishable, for example? I don't think that's very urgent. Billions of dollars making a robot exploring Mars. So that's research, that's science. So other than problem, we have curiosity.
Which journal, where to choose? One way to make a choice is look at your reference list. Which journals were the previous papers published in? Was it health economics? Was it an education journal? Check it. And then think which is truly the most suitable journal, best and most suitable journal for my submission. So this is the first way. Second way is search around on the internet for some good journals. Check the impact factor or check the ranking of the journal. Is it a good one? If you're still stuck, then ask the professor or ask a colleague. Research, we should be the community, it's not like this small individual effort. Ask around.
Let me end with some final remarks. Yeah. So you may learn what I like the most from Paul's presentation is he put technical stuffs not in the list of the first priority to do. Yeah? But start from motivation. Yeah? Start from motivation. And I think that's the key. I think to get promotion is not personally not my first motivation, and it's not in the first line of the list, in the Paul's list. Yeah, so we have agreement on this. With that, then we may be trapped in focusing too much on the process, not the destinations. We are focusing much on the means, not the ends. Yeah? So, and the thing is, publication in a good journal is a long process. It may take significant part of your life. Like if you do it full time, 2 years, can you imagine our life expectancy average is 67, docent is 60. Okay? So that's very significant portion of our time. So if we want to do something in the 2 years, it has to be something important, something that not necessarily because of promotion, but something that make us having an impact in the society. And journal, publishing in a good journal, is pretty much that. Yeah? The civilization is actually built based on the scientific advancement, and journal publishing is the key to that effort. If people search something in the literature, our name come up in the future 100, 200, 100 million years to come. So that's, I think, a nice way to end it. Let's don't lose that kind of motivation. Don't lose that kind of why. And I think everything will follow.